Happy Monday. You know, a lot going on this week. Super Bowl is coming up.
Is that right? Is that this
Sunday?
week? Is that this Sunday?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh, I forgot all about that.
I'm sure the Warner family is very
in.
excited and locked in. What's like the go-to Super Bowl snack?
We don't eat during the Super Bowl. We're completely focused on the game, get meals, everything else out of the way. We got to lock in.
Shut up.
I don't even know. I'm sure that I don't remember eating during any Super Bowls.
I'm
sure I do. I'm sure I do, but it's probably chips in some sort of
Oh my gosh, no way. I mean, Matt Warner's a big queso guy. I thought you would be the big.
I'm sure that's
got to do the queso dip between each.
Chips have been involved.
When the anxiety gets at an all-time high. Yeah, that's all I do during the Super Bowl is
you and I
eat.
are different.
But anyways, a lot to talk about. Liberty men's basketball split on the road. So they had 3 total road games, took 2 of the 3. So I would say that was a successful road stretch.
We said that going in, right? We said if you could take 2 out of 3, you would sign up for that absolutely every single time. It's funny. It's kind of one of those where it's what's the most recent thing you see is how you feel sometimes. So it's like if you had won the first and the third, you'd probably be riding high right now. But since you won the first 2, dropped the third, you're like, oh, man, we could have swept all those. But, no, they're in a good spot. They played well for the majority of the time in those road games for probably 5 of the 6 halves. But we can get into that.
I know that I'm usually the negative Nancy around here, but we're going to be positive, Paulie.
Yeah.
I am. Matt Warner is going to go into the deep end.
Okay.
He's going to overreact. Coach McKay, I'm bringing some levelness.
I've got some numbers.
Okay.
I've got some numbers.
Numbers that matter. It's a Flame Central podcast powered by Alcova
Where's
Mortgage.
Joe Yock?
Joe Yock is hitting the slopes. He sent us actually. Actually, this is a little early, Doug. But we have to show the video of Joe's. Just so people can see what he's doing on the slopes.
Here, I guess. I
think it needs to be on.
Doug, dial into that. There we go.
Doug, let me know when you got our. Okay,
there
ready?
you go. Yeah,
so this is what he sent. Watch
this just angelic figure just gliding on top of the snow. There he comes.
What an angel.
Look at that guy. Look at the movement, the athleticism.
Pull the hammy.
So smooth. Look at that. Look at that.
Ooh, shower.
Who is that? Is that Peekaboo Street? No.
Flame split on the road, just like Matt Warner called it. 1-1. Not as good for Yock Talk. He wants every win on the road. Go Flames!
Go Flames. There you go. And then like a ghost into the night, he just disappears.
He's
there
out.
he goes.
Okay.
What a life he's living.
We might call him a little bit later in the show, but it is early in Montana, so I would not, put much hope in him answering. Okay, let's get to some basketball talk. Starting back on Thursday night, Liberty hands Kennesaw State its first home loss of the season. So that was huge. You know, when you heard Zach Cleveland and Katie Matheny talking after the game, they were talking about how when they were going in here, their season was soured and ended a couple years ago in that same building. So I think that there was a little bit of extra motivation to take down the Owls. And they looked really good doing it. They did a great job. It felt like, Liberty got out to that lead and Kennesaw would make a little push. And every time Liberty had the answer. They did just enough. They would kind of keep them at arm's length. That's not an easy place to play. You talked about it. Liberty's had their struggles there before. In ASUN days, they lost both games they played there the last year in the ASUN. It was also a nationally televised game. Like, by the way, I want to just mention this. Don't take for granted all the nationally televised games that Liberty has had this year, because Kennesaw State, they said, oh yeah, this is the first one they had since that ASUN championship 2 years ago. So like, Liberty gets a lot more attention than some other teams in this league. So don't take that for granted, even though we're always bummed because it means we don't get to call the game. But yeah, to go in there and play as well as they did, I thought was really impressive. And again, you're kind of like, we're trying to stay in that top half of the conference. We talk about how important that is. That was a big game to kind of maintain that and stay where you want to be. I don't know, you have some of the numbers from that game, but Katie Matheny was a little slow start in the first half, but came alive in the second. Cleveland had a great game. We had his feature air on the last Flame Central episode. It will hit social media today. Again, the Flame Central effect. You do a feature on someone and then they just come out and have the game of their life.
It's why people begged us to have them on the podcast or to do a feature on them.
But what I thought was interesting after the game, Coach McKay said, it took us a little bit of a stretch after Zay Enan went down. He was playing, and this defense was playing so well together. When he went down, there was a stretch where they were just trying to figure each other out, and he said that's on the coaches for us to do that. He thinks that they're getting back to that again. When you look at the Jack State game, like maybe that doesn't hold true every single minute of every half. But do you think that this defense has looked much improved and back on track since losing Enan?
Okay, so the second half against Jack State makes that hard to say.
Right.
Yeah, I think they are looking better. We saw them play really well at FIU as well and really shut them down, a team that, once again, continues to lose but continues to push teams right to the brink. Not the case playing Liberty. Liberty put them away. So, yes, the concern is on the glass, and we saw that definitely in the Kennesaw State game, and they're not a super efficient like scoring team. Sometimes their best offense is a missed shot. Like, it's like, just throw it up, go get the offensive rebound, put it back in. That Weir kid had a double-double. He was hard to handle. So that's
18-2.
Yeah.
The Owls on the offensive glass
on the road trip. So the 3-game road swing altogether, Liberty was out-rebounded by an average of 13.3 rebounds per game. So that is cause for concern. Great. Liberty's not been a great rebounding team, especially here of late.
Last in the league, and like opponent rebounds, and then almost last in the league in
rebounding totals. So that is cause for concern. But yeah, I mean, I feel like
they're playing smaller.
Right, they are playing smaller, and so yes, they are. But the Enan part, where how that changes the whole dynamic, is we talked about how that would make them different this year.
Right.
You to have that other big body. So yeah, losing that has forced them to play some different ways. Also, like, Owen Aquino has run into some big dudes.
Yeah.
You're starting to run into, not just he's going, and he gives you some added size, but you run into the Weir kid. You run into the Mason Nicholson for Jacksonville State. Like, those aren't like your 6'9", 220. Like, those are like I bet Nicholson's like 6'9", 250. Like, he's a big boy. Like, the Weir is a big dude. So you're going up against some like real size that has been a little bit of an issue as well. And he had 2 early fouls in that game.
Right. So when you're sitting on the bench.
I think Aquino also got hit in the face during that Kennesaw State game, was out for a little bit. So you're running into some teams that maybe give you a little bit of a matchup issue. Defensively, in the second half against Jack State, it was the recipe that we saw all last year, I feel like, which was their guards just trying to take advantage of Liberty's smaller guards and just drive it down their throat in the second half. And so that was a little concerning. I think Liberty just kind of ran out of gas in the second half against Jacksonville State, defensively especially. That just wasn't the team that we've seen for the majority of conference play. Take out the Western Kentucky game that they blew in the second half. But that didn't look like the team we had seen. So I want to say, I hope it was just the travel, 3 straight road games, quick turnaround. You just kind of ran out of steam because, that's not the defensive effort that we expect.
We'll also talk about the standings in just a moment, which are just crazy, which we
nuts.
all said from day one of how tight this conference is going to be down this stretch. We'll hit the women a little bit as well, a little softball and baseball talk. But talking about this, playing a smaller lineup for the Flames, I guess the positive is it allows them to have some urgency on the offensive end. Is that really the option? And Coach McKay even said after the Jack State loss, I stuck with playing in that smaller lineup. Is that a decision that you liked, or?
Well,
I mean, we're not questioning Coach McKay's
it puts you at an advantage on the offensive end, certainly.
Right.
Like, any chance you have to have Taylor Peter out there, you want his scoring punch, absolutely. But then you talk about, like, on the glass that you're at kind of digging yourself into a hole there. So I think it depends on the matchup. I think it depends on who the other side has. Like, how can they beat you? Do they have some bigger, either like wing guys or whatever, that you feel like, okay, they can give us trouble. Maybe we can't afford to go that route. So I think you're going to have to kind of pick your spots as far as that goes. I think the biggest thing for Liberty, just they got tired. They ended up shooting 34 three-point attempts in this game, the most since St. Andrews, December 17th.
We're talking Jack State.
Yeah, in the Jack State game. Most three-point attempts. I think they settled for threes, especially, and settled for shots in the second half because they were tired, because they were worn out. You didn't see, like, that's what a player does, right? Like, I can tell you, as a lousy, whatever basketball player, like,
The gym.
When you get tired.
The lunch gym basketball game.
When you get tired, you don't want to go hard to the rim. Like, you don't want that kind. You start to settle. Like, and that's not what I feel like they did some in this. The other thing that points to that is Liberty shot a season-low 7 free throw attempts in this game. 7 times they got to the line. That's another sign of settling maybe for some perimeter shots. And so that's only the second time, in fact, this year they've shot single-digit free throws in a game. So that hasn't been typical. So that makes me think, if you're wanting to kind of put a positive spin on it, I guess, is, okay, maybe they just didn't have their legs in the second half. Richie McKay said he felt like the struggles on the offensive end kind of led to them not playing well on the defensive end as well. They didn't really step it up on that end. But having said that, the other big question that kept ringing in my mind, and we keep talking about postseason and conference tournament and how it all comes down to 3 days in March, right, is this team built? Can it win 3 games in a row? Because we see the physicality. We see how hard it is. 3 games in 3 days? Like, that's where you have to think, okay, like, can they do that?
And when you think about 3 games in 3 days and the lineup that Liberty plays, share some numbers that matter about that, because this, like Coach McKay has talked about how it's fine that we're playing the starters this much. Like, they're in great shape. They're
absolutely, and they are.
They are. We're not arguing that whatsoever. But at the end of the day, and at the end of the season, those minutes are going to add up.
It takes a toll. So here, I did a little research. So
numbers that matter.
Numbers that matter. I had nothing else to do yesterday. There's no NFL on. What am I supposed to do with my afternoon? So I did this instead. I looked at all the teams in Conference USA. What percentage of their total minutes played in conference play, because in non-conference you get those 91s, they skew everything. Right. But in conference play, what percentage of their minutes are taken up by their top 6 guys in terms of minutes played? So, like, for Liberty, we know the 6, if you want to call them full-time players, right? The starters and Taylor Peter, they play 92% of Liberty's minutes in conference play. 92%. Last year, Liberty's top 6 played 90%. I didn't look up last year's. I would imagine they were the top of the league. Liberty is at the top of the league this year. 92% of the minutes played by the top 6 guys. The next team is Sam Houston, one of the worst teams in the league. They play 87% of their minutes come from the top 6. UTEP's up there. Middle Tennessee, Louisiana Tech are all between 84 and 87. And then you have, like, Western Kentucky, 75% of their top 6. So they have a lot more depth there. Kennesaw, 79%. So you see kind of that difference. So that is, when we talk about, boy, you're logging a lot of minutes, like, that just shows you, like, the percentage of time and the reliance on those 6 guys. Take it on kind of another angle on this. We always talk about the bench players not named Taylor Peter and how important those guys are. Well, I went in wins, conference wins, those not named Taylor Peter bench guys give you 5.8 points per game in Conference USA wins. In the losses, so that's in 5 wins, they give you almost 6 points a game. In the 4 losses, they give you 1.5 points per game. And in reality, they've given you 0 in 3 of those 4 losses, including Jack State. So those guys are so critical for the minutes played and for just the little bit of production they give you. And you say, oh, well, 6 points, I guess. Think about how tight a lot of these games have been. 6 points is huge. Right. So that is huge. So you look at it in terms of that. You're saying, your Gabriel McKays, your Xander Yates. We saw a little bit more of the freshman Brett Decker as well. I want to keep seeing more of him. But, that, again, goes back to getting those guys on the floor, save some minutes for those top 6, but you got to get just a little. You can't have them give you nothing. Yeah. You just can't.
And in the second half at Jack State, they were outscored 40-23. Yeah. So that's just showing maybe the exhaustion of those starters who have been playing so many minutes. Man, I mean, so what? I mean, I guess you just do you just keep throwing the bench guys out there?
I mean,
the Yates, the McKay.
Right, because what's your other option is what's up from 92%? Do you really want to go that route?
Right.
I don't think so. Here's what I'll say is, if you can get to the postseason, You can be in that top 6, so you avoid the first round game.
Right.
Like, if you can find a way just to be there, like, then absolutely. You might ride those top 6 95% or 97% in the tournament. But boy, it's going to be, it is tough when you ask that much from them on a night-to-night basis.
Yeah, Kennesaw State, they took 10 less threes. You know, there's just that balance. You saw them attacking the rim a lot more in that Kennesaw State game and like you said, getting to the line. So, which is where we shift. Our next question of getting to the line and then not coming away with any points. I mean, you don't really want your free throw percentage to be the same about like your field goal percentage.
No,
and I know they only took 7, so that's a little different. But notorious, this team has not hit their free throw shots.
This is something that was brought up.
How? Like, how do you – I see them at the beginning of every practice and end of every practice. They're out there taking free throw shots, but like, what do you do as a coaching staff?
That's a good question. So for those that don't know, Emily started a firestorm on social media last Tuesday, I think it was.
True.
A lot of Flames fans.
I am not going to back down from it.
People thought she was calling out individuals and all this, whatever. So it was a mess. It was a mess. But
someone's got to tell the people. I am still.
Right. You're not afraid.
I'm for the people.
You're not afraid, right?
Whatever.
But somebody did bring up, like, okay, so let's just address the issue. Free throw shooting. How can you improve there? And that's a great question. What we've seen from Richie McKay is he's shown confidence in these guys. Every press conference, he says, you know, I believe in these guys. I know they're good free throw shooters. I know they can knock them down. I see them every day.
It comes to a point where it's just in your head.
Right, it is. And here's my question. What do you want him to do? Like, if I'm sitting next to you as a player.
You can't bench these
guys.
Right.
If I'm sitting next to you as a player, am I going to say, yeah, you know what? You're right. Emily does really struggle. She's not good. Like, what does that do? Like, just further wrecks your confidence, right? Are you taking Joe's place of, like, having your phone on?
Just landed in Denver.
Oh, we'll hit him up in a second.
Okay.
Yeah. But, like, what are you going to do? You have to try to instill confidence in these guys. You keep putting in the work, and you hope that you'd start to see improvement. Now, for some of these guys, this kind of is what they've shown themselves to be. Like Zach Cleveland, he's like almost identical free throw numbers to last year. Owen Aquino was better at JUCO, so there's hope that he can improve. He's in like the 50% as well. I think he was over 60 last year. His first year at JUCO, he was like 70%. So maybe there's room for improvement there. The biggest key for me, if you want to pick one guy, and this goes into the free throw shooting, but it goes into the whole thing, and it's maybe not a guy a lot of people would think of right away. The biggest key for me for Liberty in the second half of this season is getting Javon Moffmer going. That's the biggest key for me. He's kind of hit a wall in conference play, shooting just 37% from the field in CUSA play, 21% from 3, only had 3 points on Saturday. But
you get him going.
And I want to see, and I know Liberty, like, they're very analytically driven, right? Like, layups, threes. That's what you want. That's what everybody wants.
Right.
Like, you look at like the
balance.
Heat. There was somebody put out like the heat map in the NBA of like today versus like in the 90s, and it's all threes, all at the rim today. You look at the 90s, it's like all over, mid-range, everything. So everybody's trying to do the same thing. But Javon Moffmer, his last 2 years at Cedarville before he came here, 35% of his shots were three-point attempts. Here at Liberty, 57% of his shots are three-point attempts. I would love to see him be more aggressive, trying to get to the rim, even getting to his mid-range a little bit. I know they don't love mid-range shots, whatever, but I would like to see more of that and like to see him try to get himself to the line a little bit more. He has struggled mightily from the free throw line this year. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I think it's like around 60% on the season. Like, he was a guy that shot in this like mid to upper 70s. I think he shot 80% from the line a couple of years ago at Cedarville. So he has room for improvement there. I would like to see him get to the line more. I would like to see him be more aggressive. He is a talented player. He's kind of hit a wall here a little bit. I have no doubt he's going to improve and come out of it. We've seen how good he can be. But I think him is that he's kind of the forgotten guy a little bit at times. He does good things on the defensive end. I really like him as a player. I think him starting to find himself offensively here over the second half of the conference season might be the most important factor to Liberty's success outside of what we talked about with the bench scoring.
When we talk about the free throw shooting, though, and I totally agree with you with everything you're saying with Javon, but and I think we had this discussion last season when they were struggling at the line. With such a tight conference, you have those 3 games in 3 days. That means so much. You and look at like the losses Liberty's had. I mean, they're within like 3-5 points. Those free throws, they matter down the stretch. So if you're another team, why are you not just fouling Liberty down the stretch? Because you know that that's going to be in their head. And like when you look at the men's standings as of right now, there are 6 teams tied for third place at a 5-4 record. And I don't know how that would all break down if the season ended today.
That would be one heck of a tiebreaker.
Yeah, I don't have the patience for that. You guys know that. Matt Warner can figure that out.
Touching that.
Jack State is leading at 7-2. Middle Tennessee 6-3. And then at 5-4, you have Liberty, La Tech, UTEP, Western Kentucky, Kennesaw State, and New Mexico State. It's just wild. It's just wild. But the good news is it doesn't matter how you're playing right now. It matters how you're playing in March. We're only at like I think the midway point right now. Liberty has seen every single team in Conference USA. So, you know, I think it'll be interesting to see how they respond to all these teams, seeing them a second time on both sides for both teams. But what concern, and we talked about like Liberty needing to be in that top 6 or like hopefully you land in that top 6 because of the way the conference tournament works out. But why wouldn't teams just foul Liberty down the stretch when they know that this is such a big issue for them closing
I
games?
think I'm surprised you haven't seen that in some situations. The other thing is for Liberty, you've seen them be very smart in the way that they like who touches the basketball in those situations.
That's
as well.
true.
So you
Usually
can try to work around it as best you can.
That's a good
but
point.
that also does limit you because think about how many times, you know, for Zach, the ball's in his hands and he's creating.
Right.
So there could be some situations where you don't want to do that because you're afraid, well, they'll just foul and send them to the line. So that is something that has to be considered. I know it sounds like a lot of like, questions, doubt.
It's all Matt.
Like, here's the thing, though.
Look, McKay, because he's an avid listener to the
right.
Flame Central podcast powered by Alcova Mortgage.
Here's the thing, though.
I believe in you. It's like Matt said, if you guys ended on a win and had a loss at K-State, that would have been fine.
Right.
But Matt's just freaking out.
Debbie Downer. You're still right there.
Clearly.
You're right there.
6 teams are.
Middle Tennessee, who is ahead of you, you've already beaten once. So Jack State, who's 7-2. There are no dominant teams in this conference. If you were to have forced me to pick, lay them out. Who do you think could be? Jack State wasn't making the top of the list.
No.
So I do think they've got Ray Harper's a great coach. Jerron Pierre's leading the conference in scoring. He's a good scorer. But so they are a good team. I think they're going to come back to the pack in the second half of the season. I don't think Jacksonville State is running away with this conference. So you have that to kind of fall back on. You're right. You're getting all these teams for a second time now. Going to be real interesting to see what kind of adjustments are made and what that looks like. But you get Louisiana Tech and Sam Houston Thursday, Saturday here at home. If you take care of those games and you're 7-4, you are right there. And we talk about the top 6 in going into the tournament, how important that is. We don't really talk about the top 2 as much because for Liberty, in their situation, we talk about the lack of depth. The top 2 seeds, they play on, I guess that's Wednesday. They get Thursday off and then come back for Friday, assuming they win the first game. So if you're a top 2 seed, you don't play 3 games in 3 days. You would play 3 games in 4 days. And for Liberty's situation, that would be huge.
Yeah.
So again, long way to go, whole second half of the season to go. You're certainly in the mix. You're only a game out of second place, and you have the tiebreaker with that team. Like, if you can finish in the top 2, that could be the secret to overcoming some of these things that we just listed as being like, that's a troublesome part of Liberty's roster makeup.
All right, well, let's end on a positive note, and this might be the tease for this week's podcast, so I need a good answer for you, Matt. Right, unless we use the tease when we call Joe here in a second. But after the game, Coach McKay said, every shot we took, I would take any day of the week. Some just didn't fall, and sometimes that happens in games. We'll learn and grow from this. Matt, how? How do the Flames learn and grow from this? Again, still a positive road trip, taking 2 of 3. But how do you see the Flames growing from this road trip and Jack State's loss?
I mean, I hope they grow in terms of what we talked about, a little bit of of staying aggressive on the offensive end and getting yourself, as much as we talk about the free throw shooting, getting yourself to the line, not just becoming one-dimensional on the offensive end, shooting the threes. I would love to see Owen Aquino get more attempts. Like, I would love to see them go into him more. Whether it's getting the other big in foul trouble, he's certainly skilled enough around the rim. Like, I want to see him become a bigger part of that offense so that teams have to respect what you do, on the inside. Zach Cleveland is so versatile. You see a lot of him at the top of the key, doing things around the perimeter. I want to see Owen Aquino get down there and just be able to back somebody down, use that skill and footwork around the rim to create some offense. I think that will open things up for a lot of other guys. So I'm excited to see, and he's going to get the biggest of tests right away here this Thursday when Louisiana Tech comes to town, and you're going up against Daniel Bacho, best big in this conference. But I want to see Owen Aquino get the opportunity and go right at him, because I think he is skilled enough to give these guys problems, even if he gives up a little bit in terms of size.
Yeah, that's interesting you mentioned that, because after Thursday's win against Kennesaw State, Coach McKay said, I think Owen Aquino has more in the tank. And he did add that I think he can give us more on the defensive end. So maybe that offense can lead to some help.
They're going to be fine.
They're going to be
all of that
fine.
To say,
yes,
they're going to be all right.
Yes, shots didn't fall. And maybe you're sitting there wondering why the last two games, I know Kane Matheny brought it the second half of the Kennesaw State game. But if your concerns are that, McKay addressed that after Jacksonville State lost as well. Darius McGee had nights like this. Wouldn't you rather Caden Matheny, be a little, come up a little short on some of these games now versus in March?
You're not.
He's one of the best shooters.
Let me just go out on a limb.
Yeah.
You will never see another night like that from Caden Matheny in a Liberty uniform.
No.
You
want to see that at the midpoint of the season, not the end of the season. So I think that this team will be just fine.
You win Thursday, and nobody remembers any of this.
Exactly, especially Matt Warner, which will be nice. Hey, we should call Joe really quick. Let's just. I'm just doing it. Let's see if he answers. Joe is coming back from Montana. His daughter just got engaged.
Did we know that?
She said yes.
She said yes. Whew,
yes.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
We have a photo of her frozen on a dock. So I'm sure she was like, yes.
Joe is gone this week. You're gone next week.
Matt Warner, you need to take a vacation.
That's why they call me Old Reliable. Yeah.
Well, it looks like I'm getting stood up. So maybe by the time we wrap up the show.
Classic. You know what? What if I was looking for a home loan right now?
Nope.
What if I was in the market and I'm looking and I'm calling Joe? Where's he at? That's why you go to alcova.com/liberty, and you don't have to try to get a hold of the man. He's busy. He's got a life. Let him go see his family. Like alcova.com/liberty. He'll take care of you.
That's the hashtag bottom line, which is Gracie's term. Yes. And congratulations to Gracie Yock.
Yes.
She is getting married. That's really exciting. Okay, let's shift gears to the women. Whew, the Lady Flames just continue to roll. Setting up, it's really setting up for a fire season finale against Middle Tennessee.
It's the second to last game.
Oh, it's the second to last?
But here's the thing. So you talk about Middle Tennessee, right?
Yeah.
That's the challenge. That's the team that, ran the table last year. So Liberty has them their second to last game. That game is on March 6th. Their last game is against Western Kentucky, who is in third place and is the team that beat Middle Tennessee. So your last two games are against the best two other teams in the league. And so, that will be a challenge. But they're playing great right now. Squeaked it out against Jack State. Got a little dicey there for a while.
Lead. It got down to 1, but Bella Smuda,
that's the performance we've been waiting on.
24 points and 13 rebounds. Yeah. Smuda Matata. Congratulations.
That's just a senior being like,
awesome game.
I'm taking this thing
This is
over.
my home floor. Yeah. You're not going to come in here and take it away from me. The standings in the women's side, Liberty leads it at 8-1, which they're tied for Middle Tennessee. Right. Middle Tennessee does have that tiebreaker as of right now. Like you said, Western Kentucky sitting at 6-3, FIU, and then Law Tech.
And not to like, I don't want to jinx anything or whatever, but
oh gosh, the broadcasters curse. This is what they did. I forgot which game it was for the men. where they were like talking about Zach
I think
Cleveland,
it was Saturday's game.
And they're like, oh, sorry. I think that I gave him the broadcaster's curse. Like, definitely don't talk about Cleveland before.
Middle Tennessee, they're 8-1. They had to go to overtime against New Mexico State on Thursday to squeak
Who
out.
did?
Middle Tennessee. So, like, they're 8-1, and maybe it will all come together for them and they'll roll to another conference title. I don't know. But it hasn't looked like it looked last year.
It wasn't as smooth.
Right.
They did
I
lose
do
a lot,
think
but...
they're gettable.
Yeah.
They're gettable this year. They're still very good. They're still very good enough to win it all, this league. But it's not what it was a year ago. And so I think, we'll see.
This is the year, Matt Warner. Yeah. I feel it.
That game March 6th. If you come to one women's basketball game this season, come to that game against Middle Tennessee.
What day of the week is that?
That is a March 6th. Hold on.
2 days after my birthday. I know everyone's wondering.
Of course, everyone keeps that in mind. That's a Thursday night, 7 o'clock.
No work that Thursday. Flame Central, go to the game?
Yeah. You can come in late. Yeah, later. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. If you didn't catch the Follow the Leader segment that we had on head coach Kerry Green, be sure to check that out. It's really, really good stuff on his faith journey and what he's doing.
I think it comes out this week as well.
Actually, yes. It came out on the show. People are watching Flame Central.
Right. Watch the Flame Central show. You get all this stuff early.
Also coming out this week is a feature on former men's basketball player Colton Reed, as well as Inside the Park. Okay, In the Fire is kind of behind the scenes with Liberty Football. We're doing a segment very similar to that. And somehow baseball is happening with these frozen tundra temperatures. But yes, we are going Inside the Park.
Season 1. Coach LaCroix.
Yeah.
See what it's all about.
Josh Quigg, bringing that to
that'll be fun. It'll be fun to get to know
computers.
I don't know if there's been a team on campus
that you know nothing about.
Maybe football next year. I don't know. Yeah. But like baseball, I feel like we're all going in going.
I have no idea.
Ben Blair and
what?
You know what I mean?
What were they projected? Fifth, I think.
Fifth in the conference.
Fifth in the conference for those standings came out the end of last week. So it'll be interesting because I don't really know.
Ben Blair, Tanner Marsh. Outside of that, it's a whole lot of new faces. So. Coach LaCroix, they rave about how good he is as a recruiter. I've heard good things about, especially some of the bats he's brought in. So we'll start to find out. February 14th is the first game. First home game.
Reminder, since I'm not going to be here next week.
Yeah.
Valentine's Day. Guys, get your girls some flowers, some chocolates. Nozana's like waiting on the edge of her seat.
We're not Valentine's Day.
We're not either, but I just some women care. Yeah. So I want to remind all of our guys out there because I won't be here next week to remind you.
Joe, we'll make sure Joe.
I'm sure
if I can get Joe to come in. Yeah,
Dina deserves the world. Speaking of the diamond, maybe you're getting that for your significant other for Valentine's Day. But softball will be on the road in Florida the next few weeks. It starts with the spring games. Radford, Louisville, Cleveland State, Rutgers, and then they go on for the Clearwater Invitational, UCF, Charlotte, Alabama, Missouri, Wichita State, and Auburn. We talked last week with Rachel Reep, so if you didn't catch that conversation, be sure to check it out. We did some of those hot seat fun question segments with the girls last Friday before they hit the road. Dot seems really, really excited about this veteran.
Dot excited?
I know, right?
Was she positive too?
Very positive. Oh my gosh. I don't think I can air this, so I'm just going to tell you, break the news now. I asked the girls, who would you not want to be stranded on a deserted island with?
Yeah.
One of the players said Dot.
Really?
I'm like, I definitely.
For her sake, you better not.
I'm like, let's not air that. But they're like, she's just too like, positive. And that's just going to stress me out. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe you need that in that situation.
I loved, one of the best things about our interview with Rachel Roop, and if you didn't hear it, go back and watch it last week, was when we asked her about Dot, that she said, Dot is so consistent.
Yeah.
That's what she loves. Because, people on the outside, again, you see a 30-second, little interview or whatever, she comes in and you're like, okay. Are you just turning it on?
For the camera.
Yeah. No, that's who Dot is, legitimately. That is really authentically who she is. And her players have obviously responded so well to that over the years. In a lot of ways, Liberty, kind of under the radar, we might be a softball school.
I think we are a softball school. They've kind of proved that.
You know what I mean?
What were they, so close
One out away
last
from
year?
a super regional. Preseason top 25. She has taken, if you see where this program was, and you talk about the great coaching jobs here at Liberty, Richie McKay, Jamie Chadwell to the Fiesta Bowl, all the great coaching jobs we've had, Lang Wiedemeyer, Dot Richardson, where this program was to where she's taken it now, that's as impressive a coaching job as anyone on this campus.
Yeah, we're a softball school, we're a track school. Yeah, we're all of it. Yeah. So, but I know she's always positive and excited, but she's like, this group, we have so many returners that just have all that experience that we had from, the regional run. And then just like all those tough tests. I mean, their record was rough those first 2 weeks.
Usually that's the way it goes.
She said, she's like, this year, don't be surprised if we're winning some of those games and our record is much different once we get back from Florida. I'm like, okay.
That'd be awesome.
Okay, coach. Yeah. All right, I'm going to call Joe one more time.
He's not answering.
One more time.
He's not answering.
One more time. Maybe he's off the plane because I just want to hear from him about Gracie's engagement.
Oh, really?
But if not, then we will wrap up the show. Matt, you got anything else before we go?
I don't think so. What's your Super Bowl prediction?
Oh, yeah.
You're not even going to be in the country for the Super Bowl. Can you even watch it?
Yeah, they're having a Super Bowl party at the hotel that we're going to stay at. So, I was like, okay, here. I'm not a hater for the Chiefs. My whole family.
Right. Yeah, we saw that last year.
My whole family is from Kansas City. Yeah. My whole family is rooting for the Chiefs, obviously. And it's not that I'm not. Yeah. But I just really, Saquon Barkley is just like, I don't know. I just want it. I want it for him. So I'm going with the Eagles.
Okay.
What do you?
I mean,
I don't know.
I'll go. I can't pick against the Chiefs. The Chiefs
have been playing with fire.
I'll go 27-24 Chiefs. You get like a late field goal, like they always do, and they find a way. But I am concerned.
I'll go 31-27 Eagles.
I am concerned. This does not count towards the Snell scoring system in our bold predictions, just to be clear.
Yeah, we'll see. And my brother-in-law is a huge Eagles fan, so I would love that for him. But I don't know. Let's switch it up. The Chiefs have.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I know, but I was like a Patriots fan.
Yeah,
for
right.
All that.
Yeah, there was no switching it up then.
Hey, thanks so much for listening or watching the Flame Central podcast powered by Alcova Mortgage. You'll get a break from me next week. All those haters that hate
numbers
Emily.
will spike. Yeah.
Whatever.
Hey, thank you for not calling out anyone on today's show.
I'm just trying to keep the peace, Matt. I'm trying to keep the peace and just grow the platform of the Flame Central podcast. We missed Joe this week, but he'll be back next week. Thanks for listening and watching. For Matt, I'm Emily. We'll see ya.